When there is chronic tension in muscles, it can develop into what we call a knot or a trigger point. And those knots make your muscles feel like they are locked up or stiff, and it's so painful to move around without feeling like you're going to pull a muscle. Well, these 15 unlocking techniques are step 2 of my surf method that are going to help you untie or untangle those knots. And if you missed part 1, stretching, I highly recommend that you go back and start there so you can implement this method from the very beginning. There's a link right here that you can watch that video now. All right, so once again, I am going to work through the entire body, starting at the top and working all the way down to unlock each section and loosen up those knots in every part of your body. And please stick around because this is just part 2 of a 4-part series. So you're gonna wanna keep going and hit all of the other movements in my surf method to continue your progress to an entirely pain-free body. So let's start at the neck. The first technique is called the cervical towel roll. So you are gonna need to grab a towel for this one. For the cervical towel roll release, you're gonna use a bath towel that you'll fold in half or even into thirds and then roll tightly. Now you're gonna lie on your back on a firm surface. A carpeted floor is ideal for this. A bed is a little bit too soft. And you're gonna take that rolled up towel and put it underneath your neck. So the towel should support your neck, but not your head. And that towel roll should be high enough to firmly support your neck without lifting your head up off of the ground. And in this position, you should feel a lengthening or an opening of your spine as those muscles relax. You can maintain this position for at least 3 minutes, and if time allows and your neck is particularly sore, up to 10 minutes can be even better. Some people like to take the towel and cover it up with a gel pack or a heat pack during that session. And then when you're ready to get up, and this is really important, do not do a sit-up to get up. Instead, slowly roll your body to one side and then gently push yourself up. Getting up this way produces significantly less stress and strain on your cervical spine. Next is the suboccipital release. The suboccipital muscles are at the base of your skull, and they are a very common location for knots that cause neck pain and headaches, especially if you sit hunched over a computer screen for long hours like so many of us do. So let's release that tension. This is gonna feel good. To do the suboccipital release, you're going to use a simple homemade trigger point tool made simply out of a gym sock with 2 tennis balls positioned at the toes. Now you're going to start by lying flat on your back on a firm surface with the balls positioned on either side of your spine, right at the level of your hairline at the base of your skull. In that position, just take deep breaths for about 1 minute as you gently press the back of your head into those tennis balls. Now, after about a minute, start to slowly flex and extend your neck as if you were gesturing yes, and you can feel the balls pushing deeper into those suboccipital muscles. Continue nodding yes up and down for about 1 minute. And now, come back to center and begin to rotate your head as if you are gesturing no to apply and release more lateral or side pressure to the trigger points in the area, and continue that for about 1 minute. Moving down to the rotator cuff muscles of the shoulder. To unlock trigger points in the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, or rhomboid muscles around the scapula, you can use a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball. Either of those can be put into a sock. You can use a foam roller and you can lean against the wall, or you can do these exercises on the floor. You're going to find a bony ridge on your shoulder blade. That's called the scapular spine. The supraspinatus is just above it. The infraspinatus is just below it. And the rhomboids are found in between the spine itself and the inside border of your shoulder blade. When you encounter trigger points in any of those areas, you apply direct pressure to the area for about 10 to 20 seconds and then release for 10 to 20 seconds and treat this area for about 2 to 3 minutes total. And next, let's add a little bit of weight for our exercises here with the weighted spiral technique. The weighted spiral technique is actually a traction release technique for the shoulder joint itself rather than a trigger point release for the muscles like we talked about above. So this one starts holding a comfortable weight, which could be anywhere between 1 and 10 pounds, leaning forward and allowing your involved arm to simply hang down while holding that weight. Now in this position, take a few deep breaths and concentrate on allowing the shoulder muscles to slowly relax as you begin to feel the joint opening up with the force of gravity. Now, in this position, gently begin to trace small circles clockwise, slowly increasing the size of your spiral with each rotation. Now bring it back to smaller circles and back to center, and then reverse the direction and repeat that process a few times for the weighted spiral. Now to the upper back, and we are going to work out some kinks in this area for those of you who hold a lot of tension and stress in your shoulders and the upper part of your back. So let's start with the foam roller release. The first of the 3 unlocking techniques using the foam roller for the upper back is called the rollout. To do the rollout, you're going to lay on your back upon your roller and have it positioned perpendicular to your spine. Support your head with your hands and then lift your pelvis and your rear end up off of the floor. Now simply slowly roll back up and down over the area using your feet to move your body over the roller, rolling over the area from the base of the neck all the way to the level of your lowest ribs. Roll the entire length of your thoracic spine about 5 to 7 times. Next up is the rainbow. So you're going to start in the same position as you just did for the rollout, but this time you're using the roller as a fulcrum and simply arching your back, lowering your head towards the floor and your pelvis towards the floor so that you create a rainbow effect over the roller. You're going to hold that stretch for about 30 seconds and then repeat it in 2 to 3 different positions along your upper back. And lastly, for our upper back technique is the balance beam. And for this one, you're going to turn the roller 90 degrees so that it's parallel and directly underneath your spine. You're going to lie down facing upward on the roller, which should be supporting your entire spine from your head all the way down to your sacrum. And in this position, the spine is supported, but the shoulders are not, so that they can drift down toward the floor, opening up the upper chest. So experiment with different arm positions as you hold this really relaxing and comfortable position for at least 3 minutes, and you can hold it for up to 10 minutes if you like. Now I talk about my complete surf method for total and permanent pain relief in this, my best-selling hardcover book, The Bone on Bone Secret. And there is a link in the description below this video for you to check this out. Moving down to the lower back. People with low back pain will often describe a locked up feeling that contributes to their misery. Now the goal here with these unlocking techniques is to release the trigger points and decompress the spine itself. So if you are suffering from degenerative discs, from stenosis, or arthritis in the lower back, these next techniques will really help you. This one works the glutes and the piriformis muscles. To find and release trigger points in the gluteal and piriformis muscles, you're going to focus on the region in the upper outer quadrant of your buttock. So to explore this region for trigger points, simply sit one cheek up on a foam roller or on a ball. A tennis ball or a lacrosse ball works great for this, and gently shift your weight until you find an area that needs your attention. And then to release those trigger points and ease the tension, rock or roll back and forth over that area, pressure on, pressure off for up to 3 minutes. Now let's open up that lumbar spine and decompress it with this seated decompression technique. To do the chair decompression technique for the lumbar spine, you just sit down in a chair with sturdy arms. Now press your hands down on the arms of the chair and straighten your arms until your elbows are locked and your rear end is up off of the cushion. Now take a deep breath and allow your lumbar muscles to relax, allowing your pelvis to release towards the cushion using the force of gravity. Take 5 to 7 deep breaths in that position and allow yourself to drop a little lower into decompression with each one. Repeat every 20 minutes if you're sitting for extended periods. Moving down to our knees. Now, many people think that knee pain only relates to the joints in your knee, but oftentimes the problem is weak muscles that surround the knee, and this causes muscle strain and imbalances into the knee joint itself. So if you are suffering from arthritis or chronic inflammation in your knees, your body is constantly looking for other stronger muscles for stability and support to hold your body weight up. I talk more about this as a domino effect in this video here. So let's work out some of the tension in those muscles around the knee, starting with the calf muscle. Unlock trigger points in the calf muscles by sitting on the floor and placing the involved leg up onto a roller or any firm cylindrical object. Then put the other leg on top of the involved leg to add some extra weight and slowly move that leg over the roller to identify and eliminate trigger points in the calf. Next up is your quads. The easiest way to unlock tension and trigger points in the quadriceps, which are the 4 large muscles in the front of the thigh, is to use a foam roller. Simply lay face down on that roller with the roller positioned at the mid-thigh perpendicular to your body. Your body weight will provide the pressure to deeply release the tension and the trigger points in that area as you roll between your hip and your knee. You should rock your body slightly from side to side as you find and release these trigger points to make sure you cover all 4 of those quadricep muscles. Now moving into the elbow, the wrist, and the hand, if you're suffering from tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, carpal tunnel syndrome, or arthritis in your hands, these techniques will help to release the knots and trigger points that are causing the discomfort that you may be feeling in your arms. Let's start with the wrist flexor technique, followed by the wrist extensor technique. Unlock tension and trigger points in the wrist flexor muscles, you'll look to the group of muscles on the palm side of the forearm, which can be easily treated using pressure applied by your fingers, your thumb, or even the knuckles of your opposite hand. Just explore this compartment all the way from the elbow to the wrist, apply firm pressure for 2 to 3 seconds to any trigger points you identify, and then release and reapply, and treat the entire area for 2 to 3 minutes. The wrist extensors are a muscle group on the dorsal side of the forearm. That's the side of the forearm that has more hair on it. And trigger points and tension in this area can easily be treated using pressure applied by your finger, your thumb, or the knuckles of your opposite hand. So explore this muscular compartment all the way from the elbow to the wrist, identifying trigger points and applying deep, firm pressure and release for 2 to 3 cycles. Treat the entire area for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. Now moving down to our ankles and feet. It's really common for people with painful feet to have trigger points and restrictions in the muscles of the lower leg and in the foot itself. So let's release some of that tension here with these techniques, starting with the intrinsic muscles of the sole of the foot. The intrinsic muscles of the sole of the foot are arranged in layers as they run from the heel toward the toe. To unlock trigger points and tension in these muscles, put a golf ball on the floor next to your bed and set your foot on top of it. Now press your foot into the golf ball, and when you identify any trigger points there, you can put the pressure on and then release, and then on and then release, and repeat that cycle for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. And now the tibialis anterior muscle in the front of the shin. The tibialis anterior muscle sits just to the outside of the shin bone, and it's one of the muscles often involved in shin splints. You can find and release trigger points in this muscle with your hands, with a rolling pin, or by placing the involved leg on a roller or a ball and pressing using your body weight into that muscle, identifying trigger points, pressure on, pressure off for 2 to 3 seconds at a time, treating the entire area for 2 to 3 minutes. Next, we are going to work on resistance exercises, the next letter in the SURF surf method. Now that you have loosened your muscles with the stretches that we mentioned in part 1 and worked out the knots and the trigger points with these unlocking techniques we just discussed today, it is time to strengthen your muscles. And having stronger muscles is critical to joint support and stability. So these movements are designed to build that strength without increasing the risk of injury. And the best part is that these strength exercises can be done by anyone, no matter how advanced or severe your joint pain might be. So stay tuned for that.